Morning, Advent, and welcome to the second Congregational Conversation with the Finance Committee. I'm Troy Malaspino, your Finance Chair. I'm here in Fair Oaks this morning, enjoying some wonderful California winter weather. Our conversation today is going to cover our finances, recapping where we were at in the first fiscal quarter of this year, and advancing through what happened during the fiscal quarter, and finally looking ahead, the kinds of questions and hopefully answers that Finance Committee will be able to provide going forward. There's a lot to cover, so let's get straight to it. First, let me take these off. A recap of the first fiscal quarter starts with our drive to pay off the mortgage. And Advent Congregation, you really answered the call. In addition to the giving and some designated funds that we had identified and some of the cuts, unfortunately, that we had made, we were able to pay off the mortgage, our last payment being, I think, the first week of October. And keep in mind at this time that 3/4 of our employees had been furloughed. So as we go into October, we've got several things we still have to fix before we're on firm ground. First and foremost, of course, is we had partial payroll, meaning that some of our employees were working at partial pay. As we went into November without the expense of the mortgage, we were able to roll those folks back up to full pay and get them back online, except for the secretary position, which has remained unfilled since then. In November, as we brought those folks back, Finance Committee believed that our holiday giving would probably be flat-lying given the fantastic generosity that you had shown during the mortgage drive. But in the 6 weeks between Thanksgiving and the end of December, something miraculous happened. Our holiday giving this year exceeded $30,000. Let me put that in perspective. In a normal year, holiday giving is typically about 80% of additional money beyond 1 month's income. This year, it was 174%. Now, some of that is because our income had been down, so that number was lower, but really, as a percentage, it really shows the generosity and the commitment that this congregation has toward the mission here at Advent. Moving through the end of December into January, I want to quickly cover the current status of our finances, and I've got 3 or 4 charts here to share with you that I think really explains the story. Our first chart shows the income of this fiscal year, first 6 months, versus the income of prior fiscal years. And what you'll see is that our income this year, in purple, the purple line, is down compared to previous years. But that's okay, because the next chart shows the expenses versus prior years. And you'll see that our expenses this fiscal year have plummeted. Now, unfortunately, that's in part due to our employees having to be furloughed, but it's also due to some drastic cutting of existing expenses. The next chart shows what our net has been over the first half of this fiscal year and compares it to the 2 previous fiscal years. What this is our income for the 6 months minus our expenses compared to the previous 2 years. What you'll see is we have been doing really well. The full solid purple is where we were before the holiday giving. The cross-hatched portion of that column is what the holiday giving accounts for. You see, we're in very good financial shape at this point. I would definitely say we're on solid financial ground. So what's that mean for the future? We have enough money to look at refilling some of the designated funds that we drained during the time that we didn't have the money to cover expenses, and some of the money that we used to pay off the mortgage. For example, our capital reserve, I think, had a high of $25,000 at one point, and we're at about 12 or 13 right now. And our technical reserve, which had a high of around 6,000, we're down to about half that. And I don't know if you've tried to call Advent lately, but the phone system's broken, the computer system kicks you off, the Wi-Fi about every 15 minutes. So there's lots of things that we need to repair that we could really benefit by bumping those designated funds up a little bit and getting those problems fixed. And finally, looking to the future. We're anticipating at some point, we don't know when, the COVID restrictions will be removed. We all look forward to meeting together again. Advent needs to be nimble and be able to respond when that happens. When we're meeting again, Friendship Hall is being used more often, the sanctuary is being used more often. We're going to have to bring our secretary back on board, not only to manage those things, but the increased traffic that those kind of meetings bring. So we're going to have to identify when, how, and in what order we bring some of these things back. I think if things continue on the way they are, that in terms of our finances, that Advent will be in a very good place to bring all these things back when we're all ready to meet back together again, face to face. That's about all I have today. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or any of the members of the Finance Committee. We're all willing and explain exactly what's going on. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to you understanding where we're at in terms of finances at Advent. And I hope it left you with a sense of optimism, because there is a lot of optimism in the data that we're looking at right now. In addition, I hope to see you all soon. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next Congregational Chat in 3 months.